Here I am at ESX once again, and I'm here with the new president of ESA, Jeremy Bates. How you doing, Jeremy?
Man, I am super fantastic. How are you doing?
We're, it's a little early this morning, but
it is, yeah.
but we're making it work. So, so first of all, tell me about your plans for ESA. As you step into this role of president that so many great people have had before you, I guess.
Well, it's actually an exciting 2 years that we've got planned out. It's not just my plans, it's the team's plans, but we've had some great leadership the last 4 years that I've been on the board and really laid some strong groundwork for what we're doing. We've made a lot of investments recently in staffing and investments financially, with working on our revamping and building out our education programs and training programs. So I'm really passionate about that. I think about when I started over 31 years ago, just being a sponge for knowledge, and what would a young Jeremy today, how could ESA benefit, and how could we be a catalyst for helping somebody just getting started going, or maybe anybody in the company in any role, what can they help, how can we help them take their company to the next level? So that's like one of my big areas. We have the ESA Research Center, where we're going to be doing, we are hiring an economist, and we just announced that this week, so that's going to be something very exciting as we build out a...
Yeah, we reported on that yesterday. I actually interviewed Kirk about it, Kirk McDowell, so check that out on SecurityInfoWatch.com.
Yeah, so that's going to be really neat, the benchmarking we're going to do there, and I think that's something that's going to build pretty quickly.
Excellent. Do we still have the apprenticeship program thing going, or is that kind of gone by the wayside?
No, the apprenticeship program is still going, and we just did some work, significant work in New Jersey with building an apprenticeship program out there. A few different companies have actually, some national companies have actually leveraged ESA's training for their own apprenticeship programs. My company, Pye-Barker, has done that. So there's it's still there.
Have you found that it's a good way of attracting people to I know we talk about FAST and we talk about ways to attract people to the industry. Has the apprenticeship conversation kind of entered that lexicon?
Well, I think in the general conversation of education, I think it has, and training overall, it definitely has. There's definitely more focus. I have not been as involved as much on the apprenticeship side of it, but that's definitely been more of a conversation this last year. But I'm of the philosophy that as we've been growing our membership, associate membership, and integrators, dealers. Over the last several years, with our strong value that we're bringing to the industry, and I think we're going to continue to grow that with building out our education offerings. We have a lot more offerings that we're focused on our advocacy, our education, our community that we're building, and the advantages that we bring for our members, and with different benefits that we're bringing. And you're going to see us communicate that in a real well-coordinated manner to show the industry this is the value you have by being a member, and your company will benefit and grow if you're a member.
It's interesting you bring up the membership drive that we have at ESA. With you at Pye-Barker, you're constantly, Pye-Barker is kind of like eating up a lot of the members, right? So you're kind of in this duality state, So how do you reconcile that, or how do we attract more people to ESA while a lot of these companies are being folded into other companies?
Yeah, it's kind of I'm working it at both ends, or was. I'm not in my M&A role any longer, but mergers and acquisitions are a natural part of any industry, and so there's going to be ebbs and flows to that. But it's what is important, though, is for those companies that are aggregators that, I believe all of them, if not most of them, if not all of them, are members of ESA and continue to be strong supporters of ESA. And believe it or not, I'm on the membership campaign recruiting membership to get people to join. So, I think it's just a natural thing that comes and goes, and every industry goes through some consolidation, and when you do something like that, actually it creates a lot of area for or room for new people to start their companies and new entrepreneurs to grow their business. And my company, Bait Security, was not the bait security that people think of today before we sold it.
Right.
But it was this little rinky-dink little company.
It wasn't rinky-dink. Come on, buddy.
Well, 30 years ago, I mean, is what I mean.
Yeah.
We got our start early on, and just because of being able to come to shows like this, being involved in organizations like ESA, we were able to grow Bait Security and what it became. But yeah.
So tell me about, I guess you mentioned your role has changed at Pye-Barker. I wasn't even aware.
Really?
I thought because they always have your picture with the people being acquired all the time.
Yeah.
And of course I have to run those all the time. So what is your role now with Pye-Barker?
So yeah, you're not going to see many of those pictures going forward. My role has shifted to instead of, and I had a great run, had fun, met a lot of good people, and brought a lot of new partners on for our team. But my skill set, I think, is probably better focused on improving or increasing our organic growth of our company. And so we've done a lot. We've invested a lot in a lot of great companies. And so how do we take those companies and really make sure that we're putting the synergies in place, putting the strategies in place to help really increase the organic growth and the organic potential of the security part of our business.
So companies like, I've interviewed the folks at Convergent, I've interviewed the folks at Pye-Barker.
Sure.
When you fold in like a lot of companies, it obviously becomes a challenge from the operational standpoint. So what are some of the challenges that you've run into, with this kind of aggressive acquisition strategy?
Yeah, I think the tendency is, if you're growing, if you're doing as many acquisitions as we have done, we're focused on getting them acquired, getting them integrated, and letting them do their thing. So we have had a very decentralized approach, very intentionally, to let the branches do that. But I think there's opportunity where, from a national company perspective, we can think about some strategies that will help our branches maximize their potential for internal growth, and help them find efficiencies to increase their top line and bottom line part for the company.
Does this mean that Pye-Barker is going to be slowing down at all in the acquisition space?
I don't know about slowing down. I mean, we are still very interested in acquiring. I think you'll see that we are going to be very selective in who we're going to be acquiring. But if it's the right fit, we're very much interested in bringing them on as a partner of ours.
I sat right here at ESX about 3 years ago with Eric and asked him what the master plan was. So is the master plan still to be the one fire and life safety company in the United States?
Absolutely, the fire and life safety, top fire and life safety and security company in the U.S. Absolutely, that's our plan. So we have our three main segments that we're in is the suppression business, the sprinkler business, and then now the security business. And then how can we be full service with all three of those offerings and everything that goes along with them? How can we be full service in every single market we're at? So we have built a great network. If you go look at our locations page at Pye-Barker, you'll see all the different locations. And so how do we really make all that work very well and maximize the potential that we've enabled ourselves to achieve?
I think the last time I looked, you were not in 3 states. Are we there?
Yeah. There's still 3. Now, we have customers there, but Alaska, West Virginia, and New Mexico.
So if you're an alarm dealer in one of those 3 states, I think you should reach out to Jeremy.
Well, alarm, suppression, or sprinkler companies, we're very interested. And I'm not the guy to talk to about it.
I'm sure he can get you in touch.
Yeah, I can get you in touch,
No doubt. So tell me, I talked to Bill Bozeman at PSA Tech very recently, and he said to me that the middle tier of integrators has been picked away so much that really there's almost nothing left of those integrators. It's kind of enterprise to small, and there's not a lot in between. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Well, we talked about the consolidation that has been going on, and it's not just Pye-Barker, but other companies doing similar roll-up strategies such as ours. So I think that a lot of those companies have been acquired. but there's still a lot of good, solid companies out there in that area, in that range that you mentioned, that are still out there that have no intention of selling. And we'll be here today. It'll be here, long from.
That was you, right?
Well, yeah, that was me. Yeah. You're never a seller until you are, right?
You're right, exactly.
So never say never, but so they're out. So I think there's less of them, but there's still a good amount of them. I mean, it's a large, thriving industry. But what's great about we've created a lot of space for other people that are want to be entrepreneurial and get out there and start the new companies. And like I said, my company was a very small company, and then we built it up to what I'm very proud of. And so that cycle will continue.
So as somebody who ran their own business for so long and built it up into what it is, when you have to when private equity comes into play,
Sure.
How does that change the game for you from your perspective?
You mean after you've sold
Yes,
and you've started?
And you're basically maybe in your role now at Pye-Barker, with private equity. I don't know how much of a role they would have in the day-to-day actually, but maybe you could shed some light.
Yeah, so the good private equity, they have a solid management team such as ours that they have high confidence in on executing on the strategy that they and the private equity have laid out, and they let the team go and do their thing and prosper. So I don't have much day to day, or if really any experience, or not experience, but interaction with our private equity. But we have a great relationship with them. They're great supporters of what we do, our sponsors, and they're more interested in us, being out there day in, day out, executing at the corporate level, at the branch level, making sure we're growing our business. And as long as we're working within parameters and meeting our budgets and all that stuff, they're happy.
That's good. Are you ever thinking about that kind of that ramp, I guess the cycle that they do, like the 5 to 7 years,
Sure.
and then out, like, do you think about that from the operational perspective? Like, we need to be ramping up to, X level, Y level, and then somebody else is going to come in right after that.
I don't worry about that too much. I feel that that is a natural part. I mean, that is private equity, right? So
Right.
we have our goals. Any good company has their goals, whether they're private equity backed or just privately owned by a family, right? They should have their growth goals and be working to try to build that business up. And hey, we want to take care of our employees, take care of our customers, and have a good, profitable business. So that's really what we're going to keep on doing.
Awesome. So that's some great perspectives there. So let's shift to like the technology landscape, just kind of the cool stuff you've been seeing. You walked around ISC West, I'm sure. You've walked around this ESX show floor. You will be walking around GSX, I'm sure. What has caught your eye, or what changes have you been feeling? And don't just say AI, because we all know that.
It's like, I was debating whether to say AI or not, because that's certainly
you can say AI, but let's be more specific than just AI, right?
Sure. So I sat through. What's great about ESX? It's a boutique show built for companies like us, like Bait Security type companies, larger, smaller, and the education that it brings. Peer-to-peer education, but we've had some great speakers today. One of them was this week, and one of them was on AI, and it's just really eye-opening on what is coming in our industry. And so I think it's so important to be coming to shows like this and making sure you and your teams are aware of all this stuff, so you can make plans for it. But now walking around IC and here, and I'm sure I'll see it at ESX. So video. I mean, it's just I'm excited to see where video will be at a year from now, 5 years from now. I think we'll be shocked, and we have ideas, but video seems to be the most advanced, the area that's advancing the most and the quickest. And if a company's not involved in video, then they need to be.
What about video monitoring?
Well, and video monitoring as part of that, and not just video monitoring, but proactive video monitoring, as we refer to it at Pye-Barker. But you see it in the trailers, but also in fixed proactive video monitoring, where it's actually part of a permanent system, there you can just do so much. And my background initially is in the Sonitrol business, where we have audio detection and verification. So I see the full potential of what video can do, as similar, can do just as good a job as Sonitrol was doing with the audio detection and verification.
So back to the AI. I know that speaker was talking. I actually missed it, but I've heard everybody talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
The speaker was talking about how to use AI internally, how to kind of be more efficient using AI. How does Pye-Barker do stuff like? How does Pye-Barker use AI to be more efficient and internally on your own business?
Well, it's the journey we're on. AI is, we definitely have embraced a few of the different models, and so I've seen different parts of our teams operating with it and helping excel in their different jobs. He was driving a message where you shouldn't. If you're using AI to write a better email or something like that, that's one thing. But you should really be doing it to drive better processes, to dig in, to rethink your strategies, to make yourself a better, sharper business. How can you be a better business by building AI tools? And so it was pretty transformative. I took some good notes, and I tend to take those things back to my team. But anybody out there, what they need to be doing is just experimenting with it, playing with it, is what the speaker was talking about.
Okay, let's end on, what's your favorite part of ESX? Like, what's your favorite thing to do at ESX?
So I am a big believer in the networking aspect of ESX, and
over a lot of alcohol around here, apparently.
They like to have fun going out. I don't partake in that part, but I am a firm believer that the success of my business and other peers that I know out there, the success of their businesses, is because they come to events like this, they're going to the educational sessions, they're networking, and they're doing the what John Lau calls R&D, rip off and duplicate, just getting good ideas, right? And listening to their peers and getting the motivation to go back and try new things at their business. So that's how I grew my business. That's how we'll continue to grow. But that's my favorite part, is the education and the networking that you get at an event like this.
Well, thanks, Jeremy, for being on Security DNA.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Anytime.
All right.